Hey everyone. Wish I had better news to share, but today's update is packed with some very concerning developments. The latest high-resolution weather models are showing some serious changes that I need to talk about. We're dealing with an intensifying nor'easter in the northeast, a potentially historic snowstorm in the deep south, and an Arctic outbreak bringing dangerously cold temperatures to the northern tier of the United States. There's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the nor'easter that's hitting the northeast. The latest models have shown this storm trending stronger, and snowfall totals are shaping up to be pretty significant depending on where you're located. Right now, I'm forecasting about 5 to 8 inches of snow for much of Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and most of New York, including areas further south into Connecticut and Massachusetts. If you're up in Vermont, New Hampshire, or Maine, you're also looking at a good amount of snowfall. Downtown New York City, based on the latest National Weather Service forecast, is expected to get between 4 to 7 inches of snow. This nor'easter is going to create dangerous travel conditions throughout the region. So if you need to head out, make sure you're giving yourself extra time and staying safe. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button like this video and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Because that's not the only major weather story today. The snowstorm developing across the deep south has become a very serious concern. This storm could end up being historic for parts of the region, especially for Louisiana, Texas, and surrounding areas. According to the latest Canadian model, snow is expected to begin late Monday night and into the early morning hours of Tuesday. By midnight, snow will start falling across central, eastern, and southern Texas. So on Tuesday, areas like Houston, Texas will be experiencing heavy snow and freezing rain, with sleet mixing in as well. Corpus Christi will also see freezing rain and icy conditions, while Dallas and eastern Texas can expect light to moderate snowfall that may turn heavy in some areas. As we move further into Tuesday morning, the storm intensifies and begins to spread. By around lunchtime, moderate to heavy snowfall will stretch across central and northern Louisiana, southeastern Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama. Ice accumulation will be a major concern for Houston, Corpus Christi, and southern Louisiana. The ice and snow are expected to create incredibly dangerous travel conditions, and power outages are a very real possibility as ice builds up on power lines and tree branches. In some areas, we could see snowfall totals approaching a foot, which would be absolutely historic for regions like southern Louisiana. If you're in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, or anywhere in this storm's path, it's critical to take this seriously and plan ahead. Switching over to the latest European model, we're seeing confirmation of what the Canadian model is already showing. By early Tuesday morning, blizzard conditions are a possibility in Houston due to strong northerly winds blowing snow around. Ice accumulation will be an issue across southeastern Texas, especially in Corpus Christi, and areas further east, including New Orleans, Mobile, and Baton Rouge, are all looking at potentially historic snowfall totals. In some locations, we could see 10 inches or more of snow, which would be absolutely unprecedented for this part of the country. Northern Florida, southern Georgia, and Alabama are also in the path of this storm. While snowfall totals may not be as high in these areas, ice will be a significant concern. Ice buildup on roads, trees, and power lines could cause widespread power outages and make travel nearly impossible. As if you're in these areas, it's best to stay home and avoid traveling unless it's absolutely necessary. Once the snowstorm moves east, the conditions will begin to improve, but the impacts will still be felt for days. The storm is expected to clear out of the southeast by Wednesday morning, but freezing rain and icy conditions will persist in some areas into the early afternoon. Snowfall totals across the southeast could range from 3 to 6 inches in parts of the Carolinas, 2 to 4 inches in northern Florida and southern Georgia, and isolated areas in Louisiana and Texas could see up to a foot of snow. On top of that, ice accumulation is looking very concerning, with some areas in northern Florida and southeastern Georgia potentially seeing up to half an inch or more of ice. This is enough to cause widespread power outages and bring down tree branches, so make sure you're prepared for extended disruption. Finally, let's talk about the Arctic outbreak that's gripping the northern tier of the United States. This has become an incredibly dangerous situation. The latest forecasts are now showing wind chill values as low as S60 def in parts of northern North Dakota by Monday morning. This kind of cold is life-threatening and simply not survivable without proper precautions. If you're in these areas, make sure you're staying indoors as much as possible and limiting any time spent outside. This Arctic air mass is going to continue pushing southward and will impact the Great Lakes and Northeast by midweek. Wind chill values in these areas are expected to range between 20 def to 30 def through Wednesday. And while temperatures will begin to moderate by Thursday, the cold will remain dangerously low for much of the work week. Since it's a holiday, travel might be a little less hectic than usual, but trust me, you're still going to want to be careful. This snow is going to fall fast and stick quickly, and it's going to be really tough to keep the roads clear. The snow itself isn't the only issue, though. The real kicker here is the extremely cold air that will follow. This cold front is going to make it feel much colder than it has been recently in the Northeast, and this could make it even harder to clear the snow. It's going to be a real challenge to get things back to normal once the snow starts piling up. As we move into the afternoon, here's what the radar's likely to look like by 5:00 p.m. We'll have snow squalls coming off the Great Lakes, moving into Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia, with the heaviest snow centered along the I-95 corridor. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City will all see heavy snow around this time, with New York City's heaviest snow expected around 7 p.m. and Boston's heaviest snow around 9 p.m. Snow will start wrapping up in D.C. by the evening, but in Boston, you're probably looking at another 6 to 8 hours of snow before it clears up. So expect a long night ahead. So now let's talk about the storm that's coming for the Gulf of Mexico. You might be looking at the radar right now and thinking, what storm? I don't see anything. Well, it's still a little bit hidden up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but it's definitely coming. You'll start to see it really take shape around 7:00 a.m. on Tuesday, January 21st. And trust me, it's going to be something you won't believe. We're talking snow all the way down to the beaches of Texas, sleet and freezing rain in Mexico. This is going to be a snowstorm unlike anything we've seen in this region in a long time. It's so rare that I almost want to buy a plane ticket just to go experience it for myself. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's real, and it's also going to cause some serious problems. There's a big concern about an ice storm in southern Georgia and northern Florida, and we might even be dealing with a historic ice event here. If all the pieces fall into place, this could be just as impactful as the major winter storms we've seen in the Northeast. We haven't had a significant ice storm like this in the deep south since the 1980s, so you can see why this is such a big deal. Forecast models are still figuring it out, but one thing's for sure, snow is definitely coming. Right now, we're looking at the possibility of seeing up to 7 inches of snow in central Louisiana, but this is still early, so the forecast is going to change. The snow could end up stretching farther south than we're expecting right now, which is pretty wild considering how rare it is to see snow this far south. Based on the models, we could see some really heavy snow for anyone from eastern Texas all the way through southwestern Mississippi. And if you're in that zone, you could be looking at more than 6 inches of snow. Talk about a once-in-a-lifetime event. South Carolina and North Carolina may also see snow, but the models aren't all in agreement just yet, so I'll keep you posted as it gets closer, because every so long. The snow is a big concern. The real issue here is the ice likely affect northern Florida and southeastern Georgia, where the models are showing up to a 1/4 inch of ice accumulating. That might not sound like much, but when it comes to ice, a little goes a long way, and a 1/4 inch is enough to cause power outages in dangerous road conditions. The biggest question right now is how much ice we'll actually get. We could be looking at even more than the models are predicting. And if we start seeing totals in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch range, that's when we really need to start worrying about a major ice storm. Ice storms are no joke. They bring down power lines because widespread travel issues and make things pretty dangerous for a few days. Even though we're not sure exactly how bad it's going to get, I want to make sure everyone is prepared. If you live in these areas, it's time to start thinking about getting a generator, filling up your propane tanks, and stocking up on supplies. Oh, trust me. If you've got the chance to prepare, you're going to want to do it now, because once this storm hits, it might be hard to get what you need. If the power goes out and temperatures drop below freezing, it could be a few days before things are back to normal. Let me tell you, the cold air that's coming in with this storm is just as serious as the snow and ice. If you live in the deep south, you might not be used to temperatures this cold, but you're going to want to brace yourselves. As we're talking about freezing temperatures in Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, and beyond, some of these places will be lucky to get above 30 degrees for the next couple of days. That might not sound like much if you're used to cold weather, but when the power goes out and temperatures stay below freezing, it's a whole different ballgame. We're also going to see some brutal cold in the northern U.S., with temperatures dipping below zero in many places, including parts of the Midwest and northern Great Lakes. Wind chills will make it feel even colder, and in some places, it could feel like 50 degrees. And make sure you're ready for this cold snap because it's going to be the coldest air of the season for a lot of people. So here we are in the action phase. This isn't a maybe situation anymore. It's happening and it's coming soon. We're already seeing enough evidence to know that this is going to be a major storm and it's time to take it seriously. I don't know the exact impacts yet, but we're going to keep monitoring it closely. We're in uncharted territory here, and this storm has the potential to be one of the most impactful winter storms the South has ever seen. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and get ready because this storm is going to make history. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.